Hello, good afternoon, guys. Hope you had a good weekend. So today I want us to talk about expanding and factoring perfect square trinomials. Yeah, that's what I want us to talk about. So if you look at that worksheet or lesson worksheet that I posted on Google Classroom, it's kind of what we're going to be going through, and I'll just be explaining what we're going through here. So I want to start by reminding you of these common expansions: a plus b squared and a minus b squared. You guys remember these expansions? A plus b squared can be completed as a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and a minus b squared, if you expand it out, if you do the FOIL the way we saw in last week's work, you'll see that it comes to this: a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. This is always a plus because when you square a negative number, it gives you a positive every time you square a negative number. If you don't believe me, you can expand these things on your own. You can pause this, expand them, see if they give you what I'm saying that they give you. Now, since I know that these are the general expansions, I can always expect or simply expand a squared expression so easily without having to do FOIL. The traditional method would be I would have to do x plus 2, then go through all of that work, blah 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 blah, and eventually find the answer. But if I'm using this idea of the identity, this identity of a plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, if I'm using this identity and I want to expand x plus 2, well, what do you see? According to the identity, select a different color, the first term is squared, so I can go ahead and square my first term, which is x, square my first term. Then when we come here, I see that there's a product of the two numbers, but that product is afterwards multiplied by 2. So I'll get a product of these two numbers, 2 times x, that's 2x, and then multiply that product by 2. 2x times 2 gives me 4x. And then finally, the last term is also squared. This last term being 2, I square it to get 4. So just simply like that, I can expand square expressions. Let's look at another example. What if it was something ridiculous like 5x plus 8, and they want me to square that? Still very simple. I'm going to be using this. First of all, the first term is squared. The first term is 5x. Change color. The first term is 5x. If I square the first term, 5 squared is 25, x squared is x squared. Then right here, both terms are multiplied, so I'm going to multiply 5x. I'm going to multiply 5x times 8. 5x times 8 is 40x. Now I've multiplied both terms. After multiplying both terms, I multiply them by 2. And then finally, the last term is also squared. The last term is 8. 8 is going to be squared to give me 64. So my answer is 25x squared plus 80x plus 64. Simply how you do that. If it was negative, the same idea. If it was negative, like x minus 6 squared, again the first number is squared to give me x squared. These two numbers are multiplied, 6 times x. Because this is negative 6, I'll do negative 6 times x, which is negative 6x, sorry. Negative 6x times 2 is negative 12x. Then finally plus, because I have to square the last term, 6 squared is 36, or negative 6 squared is 36. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. If you just keep following that, you still get it. So you should do some practice questions there on that worksheet that's attached. Find them and do them. The next idea is factoring square trinomials. That handwriting is awesome. Okay, so if I have an expression like x squared plus 8x 8x plus 16, if I want to factor that expression, I'm also going to use this idea: a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So according to this, you can see clearly that the first term is squared, and the last term is also can be expressed as a square of something, because 16 is the square of 4. Now I want to compress this to look something like this: a plus b squared. If I want to compress this expression or factorize it to look like this, I'm simply going to look for the first term, which is x, take the square root of x, open parenthesis, square root of x is x, square root of 16 is 4 squared. The only thing that's left is for me to try to figure out what the sign in the middle is. To figure out the sign in the middle, I just come and look at the sign of the middle term of this expression, and that's a plus. So I've factorized that expression. Example 2. What if it was x squared minus 6x plus 9? Again, since this is minus, I want this to be something like this: a minus b squared. And I know that a minus b squared, when expanded, is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So I'm just going to bring this down here. My answer should look something like this, where this is the square root of this number. The square root of x squared is x, and this right here is the square root of this number. The square root of 9 is 3. The sign that goes in the middle is the sign of this term right here, and since that term is negative, this will be a minus. So my answer is x minus 3 squared, just like that. So you can keep using these expressions to factor solutions like that. One last example: if I have 25x squared minus 40x plus 16, don't let this scare you at all. Just follow the basics. I know that the number that goes here, different color, the number that goes here will be the square root of this term. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of x squared is x. The number that goes here will be the square root of 16. Square root of 16 is 4. And the sign in the middle has to be the same as that sign, so that's 5x minus 4 squared, just like that. If you have any questions, I'm going to be online, so you can ask me. Try to complete the practice questions that are posted in the worksheet on Google Classroom. Bye.